Hey there, it's Rachel from All About the House. In this video, I'm going to go through how I arced my Plum Paper Planner. So I'm a huge fan of Plum Paper Planners. This is not a sponsored video, FYI, I'm just like obsessed with planners. Pretty much purchased every single one of their layouts. So in the beginning I was buying them with the spiral binding that comes with it on it, and then I was like, hang on a minute, this would work so much better if I arced it and used the disc bound system. So when you're checking out, just tell them don't bind it. And then you'll get the pages just like this where they're just loose, and you could hole punch them and put them in a binder if you wanted to, like a 2 or a 3 ring, or you could do what I did and put them in the disc bound system. So I personally prefer to use the arc. You can also use the Happy Planner, but I have read that it's not very strong, the punch, and that if you try to punch a laminate it will break it. So yes, the punch is cheaper for the Happy Planner, but the quality is not as good. I personally would prefer to just pay extra for the better version. The Happy Planner though does have gold discs, so the arc ones you can get black, which is the only colour that I buy, or I think they have like a yucky lime green colour and pink. They've got a couple of other colours as well. The black is cheaper though. So this one is the 1.5 inch disc, so it's the larger size. You can get a smaller size as well. I prefer to just use the big ones, and then I don't have to worry about pulling all the pages off and putting on a larger disc if I outgrow the space. So you can see I can put quite a lot of pages on there. This is just a notebook that I got from Plum Paper, and I put in as many extra add-on pages as I could. So it cost a couple of bucks extra to get all those, but I'd rather just get it all at once and maximize it rather than paying for like multiple notebooks. So one of the reasons that I prefer the arc to spiral binding that most planners use is because it only gives you a really thin margin here. So I've got all this extra space. Normally the spiral coil will come out to here, so it gives you more room to write. And also with the disc you can fold it back on itself completely, and it makes it a lot easier to write as well, because it's a completely flat surface to write on. So it was pretty easy to punch it. Just make sure that you grab a blank piece of paper first and just test your hole placement depending on what planner that you are choosing to arc. So this is the 7 by 9 inch size from Plum Paper. Sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed and it's a bit awkward while I'm holding the camera. Okay, so you want to grab a piece of blank paper and your arc punch. And for a 7 by 9 I did letter size. So if I zoom in on my machine here, sorry it's a bit dusty, I went with letter size, and then you'll see that the little pulley thing is right at the back here when you move it. So line it up with letter, grab your piece of paper and then put it into the punch like that. So you want it pushed all the way back into the punch so that it will be nice and straight. Just push it in, make sure it's all straight, make sure it's lined up with the back of your punch here, and then you just need to push down and it will create the holes for you. So if it's a 7 by 9 piece of paper, obviously you're going to have less holes, and then you can just slip this into your planner. So if we do a demo, let's say I wanted to add it to this page here. Sorry, again, it's a bit awkward with one hand. It's way easier if you've got two. And you just slip it into the discs. And as you can see, if it was a 7 by 9 piece of paper, it would cut off there on the piece of paper. So the other thing to note is that when I did it, I noticed that the size at the top and the bottom was slightly different. So it's a bit hard to tell on the paper. That looks about the same as this space here. But on the inside of the planner, if you want to get rid of it, by the way, you just pull it off. It was a slightly different margin at the top. I'll just zoom in a bit. Okay, so at the top we've got a bigger gap here, but then down the bottom it's slightly thinner. See how it's a little bit thinner there? So just make sure that you do punch it the right way. I personally prefer to have the slightly thicker bit at the top, because then when I'm turning the pages it's going to be more sturdy than having that thin bit at the top where the pages are more likely to tear off the disc. If you are choosing to punch a dated planner, like I did with this business planner that I brought, I found it easiest to work from the back of the planner to the front, and making sure that I kept all the dates together, because you don't want to mess up the page order because it would be like a nightmare. I didn't punch more than, 3 pages together. I'm just losing my voice here. Then 3 pages together, because I found that it was too thick for the punch. And then with the laminate, just be careful. You will probably not like the sound that it makes when you put it through your arc punch, but it does punch through the laminate. It didn't break my machine. I did about 6 or 7 of them, and it was fine. So again, don't use the Happy Planner punch if you're punching through this laminate, because it's quite thick. I just did the cover individually by itself as well, and then the tabs I did individually too. So I just worked from the back of the planner to the front, and we can see that it looks pretty good. So if I go to a dated page, we've got the calendar with plenty of margin here to write with. And I personally prefer the look of this to a spiral binding planner anyway. So then once you're finished with the pages, you can just pull them out and you can throw them away if you want, or keep them somewhere else and keep putting in your inserts if, for example, you're using a daily planner and you don't want to lug around the whole thing. And then obviously put them in, you just slip it back in again. Again, it's a bit awkward doing it one-handed. I tend to use two hands, and I try to just get one end, so down the bottom or the top, and then just go through and add the rest of